I found myself standing at the back of that church, my eyes fixated on my mother as she gracefully walked down the aisle in a stunning white dress. And in that moment, the world around me ceased to make sense. My mother, my husband, their wedding day. You think you grasp the essence of betrayal. You believe you comprehend what it truly means to have your heart violently torn from your chest while it still beats. Allow me to enlighten you. You know nothing until you witness the two individuals you trusted most in this world shatter your very being, and then invite you to bear witness to their triumph. This is the tale of how I perished without my body ever touching the floor, how I emerged from that death, and how I ensured they paid dearly for every single lie, every stolen kiss, every whispered promise exchanged while conspiring to take everything from me. My name is Gladys Whitmore, and this is the raw truth about what unfolds when love transforms into poison. Before we proceed, I kindly ask you to share in the comments which country you are tuning in from. If this is your first visit to this channel, please consider subscribing. Your support enables us to bring you even more epic tales of revenge from life. Enjoy the experience. 3 months prior to that fateful wedding, I was blissfully unaware. As the saying goes, ignorance is bliss. And they were right, because the instant awareness begins to seep in, the moment you start to notice the cracks in your seemingly perfect life, there's no turning back. It began subtly, so subtly that I convinced myself I was merely imagining things. Declan stopped touching me, not all at once. It wasn't as if he woke up one morning and decided to treat me like a stranger. No, it was gradual, almost imperceptible, the kind of change that makes you question your own sanity as you struggle to pinpoint the exact moment everything shifted. He used to wrap his arms around my waist whenever I walked past him in the kitchen. He would pull me close while we watched television, his fingers tracing gentle circles on my shoulder. He used to kiss me goodnight as if he truly meant it, as if I were the only woman in the world who mattered. But then, those tender touches ceased. The kisses transformed into quick pecks, mere obligatory gestures. His gaze would slide past me, never quite landing on me. And when I attempted to spark intimacy, he would offer excuses. "I'm tired, Gladys. I have an early meeting tomorrow, not tonight." I reassured myself it was just stress. His architecture firm was taking on larger projects, and he was working late more often, returning home utterly exhausted. That was normal, right? That's what I kept telling myself. But then came the phone. That phone became like a third entity in our marriage. He would sit across from me at dinner, and when his phone buzzed, his entire face would illuminate. A smile I hadn't seen in months would spread across his features, and he would snatch that phone up, typing away, completely oblivious to my presence. "Who's that?" I inquired one night, striving to sound nonchalant. "Just a client," he replied, not bothering to look up. "Must be a funny client," I remarked. His eyes flicked to mine then, and something icy passed through them. "Can't I smile anymore?" Jesus, Gladys, you're being paranoid. Paranoid. He made me feel as if I were the crazy one, as if I were the problem for noticing that my husband had stopped truly seeing me. After that, I began to observe him more closely. The way he took his phone everywhere, even into the bathroom. How he angled the screen away from me while typing. The change in his passcode. I realized it when I attempted to use his phone one day after mine had died, and the old code no longer worked. "You changed your password," I remarked. "Yeah, for security," he replied. "Someone at work got hacked." It was a reasonable explanation, yet my stomach twisted with unease. Then my mother began to visit more frequently. Victoria Hartley, my stunning and graceful 52-year-old mother who could still turn heads as she entered a room. She had always been attractive, but she was my mother, you know. I never thought much beyond that. Suddenly, she started dropping by the house 2 or 3 times a week, always armed with some excuse. I was in the neighborhood, or I brought you some homemade lasagna, or simply, I just wanted to see my baby girl. At first, I adored her visits. My father had passed away 4 years ago, and I understood that she must have felt lonely in that expansive house. I was happy to see her, happy to provide her with companionship. We would sit in the living room, sipping tea and discussing everything and nothing at all. But then, I began to notice certain things. The way her laughter would become exaggeratedly loud whenever Declan entered the room, how she would touch her hair, smoothing down her dress with care, the way her eyes would follow him as he moved across the room, and how he would linger just a moment too long when greeting her, his hand resting on her shoulder. "Your mother's here again," Declan said one evening, but there was no trace of annoyance in his voice. If anything, he sounded pleased. "Is that a problem?" I asked. No, I like Victoria. She's great company." Something about the way he uttered her name sent a shiver down my spine. I began to confide in my mother about the changes in Declan, how distant he had become, how cold. I needed someone to confide in, and she was my mother. Who else could I trust? "Oh, sweetheart," she would say, patting my hand gently. "Men go through phases. Your father was the same way sometimes. Just give him space. Be patient. He'll come back to you." I believed her. I sat there, absorbing her words while she looked me directly in the eyes, advising me to be patient with the man she was sleeping with. The closeness between them began to manifest more evidently. They shared inside jokes that excluded me, exchanging glances across the room that lingered just a beat too long. Once, I walked into the kitchen and discovered them standing too close together, and they jumped apart as if I had caught them in a compromising moment. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice steady. "Nothing," my mother replied too quickly. "I was just telling Declan about this amazing restaurant downtown. You two should go." "We should all go together," I suggested, scrutinizing their faces. "Oh, I wouldn't want to intrude on your date night," Victoria said. But something flickered in her eyes. Disappointment? Annoyance? I pushed those ugly thoughts down, forcing them away. This was my mother, the woman who had given me life, who had raised me, who held me when I cried. She wouldn't betray me. She couldn't. Yet the alarm bells were ringing so loudly now that I could no longer ignore them. One Wednesday afternoon, I returned home early from my job at the publishing house. My boss had sent me home, having noticed I was battling a migraine all day. I pulled into the driveway at 2 p.m., 4 hours earlier than usual. As I fumbled with my keys, I heard Declan's car pull up. I turned, surprised. He wasn't supposed to be home until 7. As the car pulled into the driveway, my heart began to race, not because I thought I would catch him in a wrongdoing, but for another reason entirely. It was a primal instinct, warning me that whatever was about to unfold would change everything. Declan climbed out of the driver's seat, and then the passenger door swung open. My mother stepped out. Time seemed to slow. I watched her emerge from my husband's car on a Wednesday afternoon, and all the excuses, all the rationalizations I had crafted over the past months disintegrated into nothingness. "Gladys," my mother called, her voice unnaturally high. "Honey, what are you doing home?" What was I doing home? I lived here. "I have a migraine," I replied slowly. "What are you doing here?" "I was just passing by the area," Victoria said, smoothing down her skirt. She wore a tight red dress I had never seen before, her makeup flawlessly applied, her hair styled perfectly. "I thought I'd stop by to check on you, and I ran into Declan in the driveway. We came up together." The lie was too smooth, too rehearsed, yet it didn't add up. "You ran into him?" "Oh, he just pulled up. I meant I saw him pulling in as I was walking up," she corrected quickly. "Where's your car then?" Just a fleeting moment, but I caught it. I took a taxi. It dropped me at the corner. I felt like walking. Declan finally interjected. "Gladys, what's with the interrogation? Your mother came to visit. Why are you being weird about it?" Weird? He had made me feel strange for asking simple questions. I'm not being weird. I'm just confused. Well, don't be, he said, striding past me to unlock the door. Your mother's always welcome here. My mother followed him inside. I stood there for a moment, my head pounding, my stomach churning with unease. Something was profoundly wrong. Every instinct within me screamed for attention, yet I followed them inside. What other choice did I have? They settled in the living room, engaging in small talk while I retreated upstairs to take some medicine for my headache. When I returned, I found my mother laughing at something Declan had said, her hand resting on his knee. She withdrew it the instant she spotted me. I should go, Anita announced as she stood up. She kissed my cheek, and I caught the scent of her perfume, sweet yet expensive. It was the same fragrance my father used to buy her for their anniversaries. After she left, I confronted Declan. Why were you really with my mother? I told you I ran into her. That's not true. Are you calling me a liar? I'm asking you to tell me the truth. He rose to his feet, his expression hardening. You know what your problem is, Gladys. You're paranoid. You're insecure. And frankly, it's exhausting. Your mother is a nice woman who enjoys visiting her daughter. Stop turning everything into some conspiracy. He walked out of the room, leaving me standing there, feeling as if I were losing my grip on reality. That night, I called my best friend, Anita. We had known each other since college, and she was the only person I could trust completely. Anita, something's wrong, I said, my voice trembling. I think Declan might be cheating. What? Why do you think that? I shared everything, the distance, the phone, the smiles, the secrecy. Then I recounted the moment I found him with my mother. Silence hung in the air. Anita, I'm here. I'm just... Gladys, that's concerning. But it's your mother. Maybe she really was just visiting. Then why did they lie about it? Why did their story not add up? I don't know, babe, but keep observing. Maybe track when your mother visits, see if there's a pattern, Anita suggested. Keep observing, like I was some detective in my own marriage. But that's exactly what I did. I began noting when my mother called, when she visited, and when Declan worked late. A disturbing pattern emerged that made me feel sick. Every time Declan claimed he had a late meeting, my mother would be unreachable. Conversely, every time my mother mentioned having plans with her book club, Declan would come home late. I was building a case against the two people I loved most in the world, and I loathed myself for it. 2 weeks later, I returned home from work on a Friday evening. The moment I opened the door, I caught a whiff of it, my mother's perfume. It lingered in the air, thick and unmistakable. I stood in the foyer, my briefcase slipping from my fingers as I struggled to breathe. She had been here. While I was at work, my mother had invaded my home. I drifted through the rooms like a ghost, following that scent, which led me upstairs to my bedroom, my sanctuary. My hands trembled as I pushed open the door. At first glance, everything appeared normal, the bed made, curtains drawn, but that perfume was stronger here, mingling with something muskier. I approached the bed, pulled back the covers. Nothing. Then I lifted the pillows. Red lipstick, a perfect stain on the white pillowcase. My mother's signature shade, Ruby Royale. My legs buckled beneath me. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at that lipstick stain, and something inside me shattered. My mother and my bed with my husband. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes could have slipped by, or perhaps hours. Time lost all meaning. When Declan finally came home that night, I was still there, clutching the pillowcase in my hands. "What are you doing?" he asked from the doorway. I looked up at him, really looked at him. This man I had married 6 years ago, the one with whom I had built a life, was now the same man who was dismantling me piece by piece. Whose lipstick is this? His expression went blank. What? This lipstick on our pillow. Whose is it? I don't know. Maybe it's yours. It's not my color. Then I don't know, Gladys. Maybe it was there from before. Maybe the cleaning lady. Our cleaning lady doesn't wear makeup. Try again." He stared at me, and I could see him calculating, weighing whether to continue lying or concoct a more believable story. "Maybe it's from a friend who visited," he finally suggested. "Which friend?" "I don't know. Why are you acting crazy?" "Because I'm not crazy," I screamed, rising to my feet. "I know something is going on. I know you're lying to me. And I know my mother was here today." A flicker of something crossed his face, fear, anger, but he masked it quickly. "Your mother drops by sometimes. So what? Does she drop by to sleep in our bed? That's disgusting, Gladys. That's your mother. How could you even suggest that?" "Then explain the lipstick." "I can't explain what I don't know about." We stood there, facing each other across the bedroom, and I saw a stranger. The man I had married was gone, replaced by someone who could look me in the eyes and lie without flinching. "I want the truth," I said quietly. "Whatever it is, just tell me." I can handle the truth. I just can't endure this relentless gaslighting. For a fleeting moment, I thought he might confess. His mouth opened, his eyes softened, and I dared to hope. Finally, he would come clean. But then he shook his head. "There's nothing to tell. You're stressed. You're imagining things. Maybe you should talk to someone, a therapist or something." With that, he walked out of the room, leaving me alone with the lipstick-stained pillowcase and the crushing realization that my life was a lie. I transformed into someone I barely recognized, a spy in my own existence. I began checking Declan's pockets, rifling through his car, desperately searching for proof of what I already sensed deep in my bones. But he was meticulous, so very careful. Then, one night, 3 weeks after discovering the lipstick, Declan announced he had a late meeting with a client. "It might go until 10 or 11, he said, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "Don't wait up." I observed him from the bed. He looked good. Too good for a mere business meeting. His best suit, cologne, and perfectly styled hair made him appear almost too polished. "Which client?" I asked. "The Morrison account. Big commercial project downtown." He kissed my forehead, a cold, obligatory gesture, and left. I waited 10 minutes, my heart pounding, before grabbing my keys and following him. My pulse raced as I kept my distance, watching his taillights shimmer ahead of me. He didn't head downtown toward his office. Instead, he veered north toward the affluent part of town. He pulled into the parking lot of the Grand View Hotel. I parked across the street, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. I watched him get out, straighten his jacket, and stand there waiting. 5 minutes later, another car pulled up, a silver Mercedes. A woman stepped out. She wore a long coat and heels, her hair elegantly pinned up. From this distance, I couldn't see her face, but I witnessed what unfolded next. She walked directly toward Declan, and he smiled, a smile I remembered from our dating days, radiating warmth and desire. Then she kissed him. Not a mere friendly peck, but a genuine kiss, his hands resting on her waist while her arms wrapped around his neck. I think I stopped breathing. They broke apart, exchanged a few words, and walked into the hotel together, his hand resting on the small of her back, so familiar, as if they had done this 100 times before. I sat in my car, trembling, tears streaming down my cheeks. Part of me wanted to storm into that hotel, to confront them, to scream and rage and create a scene. But another part of me, the part already strategizing, thinking ahead, knew I needed more than just this moment. I had to discover who she was. I had to grasp the full extent of their betrayal. So I drove home and cried until there were no tears left. The next morning, Declan returned home at 6 a.m. I feigned sleep. He showered, washing away any incriminating evidence, then climbed into bed beside me, as if nothing had happened. "How was your meeting?" I asked, my eyes still closed. "Long and tedious, but we got the contract." Lie after lie after lie. I spent the following week in torment, unable to eat, unable to sleep, unable to focus at work. Anita kept calling, but I couldn't bring myself to share what I had witnessed. Voicing it would make it real. My mother called too. "Sweetheart, I haven't heard from you. Is everything all right?" Her voice was sweet, concerned, motherly. I nearly confided in her, almost broke down and admitted that I suspected Declan was cheating, but something held me back. An instinct whispered, "Don't trust her." "I'm fine, Mom, just busy with work." "Oh, good. Listen, I was thinking we should have lunch this week, just the two of us. We haven't had a proper catch-up in ages." "Sure, Mom, I'll call you." But I never called. Instead, I waited, watched, and looked for an opportunity. That chance came 2 days later when Declan left his phone on the bathroom counter while he was in the shower. He had done this before, but it was always locked, always protected. This time, I picked it up and the screen was on, still unlocked from whatever he had been doing before. My hands trembled as I opened his messages. There were the usual conversations, work colleagues, his brother, his gym buddy, and then I spotted a contact labeled simply V, just the letter V. I opened it. What I saw made the room spin. Messages dating back months, hundreds of them. "V, I can't stop thinking about today. You make me alive again." "Declan, you're incredible. I've never felt this way before." "V, what about Gladys?" "Declan, she doesn't need to know yet. We have to be smart about this." "V, I hate sneaking around. I want to be with you properly, Declan. Soon, I promise. We just need to get everything in place first." I scrolled further back, my vision blurring with tears. "V, do you think she suspects?" "No, she's clueless. He trusts me completely. And she'd never suspect you." "V, I feel guilty sometimes. He's my daughter." The phone slipped from my hands and clattered onto the tile floor. My daughter. My mother. Victoria. V. The shower stopped running. I heard Declan moving around in the bathroom. With numb fingers, I picked up the phone and continued reading because I had to uncover everything. "Declan, have you thought more about the plan?" "V, are you sure we can get access to her trust fund?" "Declan, she has signing authority, but I'm her husband. I can convince her to sign anything. She trusts me." "V, how much are we talking about?" "Declan, 8 million. Her father left it all to her. She's been saving it, never touching it. She won't even notice until it's too late. And after we'll have everything we need to start over together. We'll go somewhere she'll never find us. Maybe Spain. You always wanted to live in Spain." "V, what about the divorce?" "Declan, I'll file once we have the money secured. She can keep the house and her job. We don't need any of that. We just need the trust fund." "V, I never thought I could feel this way again. Not after Robert died." "Declan, your husband would want you to be happy, Victoria." "V, I am happy with you. I just wish we didn't have to hurt her." "Declan, she'll get over it eventually. She's strong. And honestly, I stopped loving her a long time ago. I only stayed because of the money." Just then, the bathroom door opened. I stood there, phone in hand, as Declan walked out wrapped in a towel. His eyes met mine, then dropped to the phone, and I watched his expression shift as he realized what I had seen. "Gladys." "Hi, Mother," I whispered. "You're sleeping with my mother, and you're planning to steal my inheritance?" He didn't deny it. He didn't scramble for an excuse. Instead, something cold settled over his features. "How much did you read?" "Enough." He nodded slowly, then laughed. Actually laughed. "Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag. That's all you have to say." "What do you want me to say, Gladys? That I'm sorry? That it meant nothing?" He walked past me into the bedroom, beginning to get dressed. "The truth is, Victoria and I have been together for almost a year now. And yes, we were planning to take your money because, frankly, you don't deserve it." The casual cruelty in his voice shattered something deep within me. I don't deserve my own inheritance? You didn't earn it. Your daddy left it to you because you were his little princess. You never had to work for anything in your life. Victoria and I, we've both struggled. We deserve that money more than you do. Victoria, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. My mother? The woman who gave birth to me? Your mother is an incredible woman. She's passionate, alive, exciting, everything you're not. His words struck me like physical blows. And you, my voice trembled, you married me just for my money? No. He calmly pulled on his shirt, buttoning it with ease. I married you because I thought I could love you, thought you'd be a good wife, but you're boring, Gladys. You're predictable, you're plain. Your mother, she's everything I wish you could be. She's 25 years older than you. Age is just a number. Victoria looks better than half the women your age, and she knows how to make a man feel wanted, needed. You just exist. I felt like I was floating outside my body, watching this horror unfold. So what now? You're just going to leave me, take my money, and run off with my mother? Well, that was the plan. But since you found out, we'll have to expedite things. He pulled out his phone, typing something quickly. I'm texting Victoria. She should know you figured it out. Don't! But he had already sent the message. Within moments, his phone rang. He answered it on speaker. She knows, he said without preamble. Oh dear! My mother's voice was both familiar and foreign at the same time. How much? Everything. A long sigh followed. This is unfortunate. Mom! My voice cracked. How could you? Silence. Then, Gladys, sweetie, you wouldn't understand what Declan and I have. It's special. It's real love. The kind I never had with your father. The kind you and Declan never had either. He's my husband. A husband you were losing. Anyway, be honest, Gladys. When was the last time he made you feel beautiful? When was the last time he truly wanted you? Because he was with you. Yes, but that should tell you something. He chose me despite everything. Despite the age difference, despite the complications, he chose me because I'm simply better for him. I couldn't speak. I couldn't process what I was hearing. Look, Victoria continued, her voice adopting a practical tone. Here's what's going to happen. Declan is going to file for divorce. You're going to sign the papers without a fight, and you're going to transfer your trust fund to a joint account. Why the hell would I do that? Because if you don't, we'll make your life very difficult. Declan has access to all your financial records, your passwords, your business accounts. We could destroy your credit, drain your personal accounts, make it look like you're unstable. We could ruin you, Gladys. That's survival. You have two options: cooperate and walk away with your dignity intact, or fight us and lose everything anyway, plus your reputation. I'll go to the police and tell them what? That your husband is leaving you. That's not a crime. As for the affair, it's sordid but legal. And regarding the money, we haven't actually taken anything yet. You have no proof of intent that would stand up in court. She had thought of everything. So you're just going to take everything from me? My husband, my money, my life? Oh, sweetheart, don't be so dramatic. You're young. You'll bounce back, find another man, build another life. But Declan and I, we deserve this happiness. After everything we've both been through, we deserve it. You're my mother, I said, my voice sounding like a lost child. How can you do this to me? For the first time, I heard emotion in her voice, but it wasn't remorse. Because for the first time in my life, I'm choosing what I want instead of what's expected. I spent 30 years in a loveless marriage to your father, pretending to be happy, playing the perfect wife and mother. And then he died and left everything to you. Everything, like I was just an afterthought. Do you know how that felt? Dad loved you. Your dad tolerated me, but he adored you, his precious Gladys. And when he died, he made sure you'd be taken care of. $8 million to his daughter. And you know what? He left me the house and a pension. That's it. So yes, I'm taking what should have been partly mine. And I'm taking the man who actually loves me, the one who sees me, who makes me feel alive, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. She hung up. I turned to Declan, who was watching me with a look that resembled pity. "I'll have my lawyers send over the divorce papers," he said, "and the financial documents you need to sign. The sooner you cooperate, the sooner this can all be over." "I'm not signing anything." He shrugged. "Then we'll do this the hard way. Either way, Gladys, you've already lost. Accept it." He grabbed his briefcase and walked out of the bedroom. I could hear him going down the stairs, the front door opening and closing, and then I was left alone in a house that no longer felt like home. I don't remember much of the next few days. I called in sick to work, stopped answering calls, and neglected to eat. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every sign I had missed. How long had they been planning this? Was any part of my marriage real? Did Declan ever love me, even in the beginning? Anita finally showed up at my door, using the spare key I had given her. "Gladys! Oh my God, Gladys!" She found me in bed, still wearing the same clothes I'd had on for 3 days. The bedroom was dark, the curtains drawn. "Babe, what happened? Talk to me." So I told her everything, watching her face go through the same progression of emotions I had experienced. Disbelief, rage. "Your mother?" she kept repeating. "Your actual mother, Gladys. I don't even have words. They want me to sign over my trust fund. You can't do that. They're going to take everything anyway." She said they'd ruin me if I fought back. "Then we fight back harder," Anita declared, her jaw set firmly. "We're not letting them get away with this." "I don't know how to fight this." "Yes, you do." She grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look directly at her. "You're Gladys Whitmore. You're smart, you're strong, and you're not going to let these monsters win." But I felt anything but strong. The divorce papers arrived a week later, delivered by courier, along with documents transferring my trust fund to a joint account in Declan's and Victoria's names. There was also a card, an invitation, gold-embossed lettering on cream cardstock. "You are cordially invited to the wedding of Victoria Hartley and Declan Whitmore." They'd kept his married name, my name, the name he took when we got married, because he claimed he wanted us to be a real family. The wedding was scheduled for 3 months from now. They weren't wasting any time. At the bottom of the invitation, in my mother's handwriting, "Oh, darling, it would mean so much to have you there. After all, you'll always be my daughter, no matter what." I stared at that invitation for hours, and something shifted within me. The grief, the pain, the heartbreak, it all began crystallizing into something else, something harder, colder, rage, pure, focused rage. They thought I was going to roll over and let them destroy me, thought I'd sign away everything and disappear quietly, thought I was weak. They'd made a mistake. I called Anita. "I need your help," I said. "I need to hire a private investigator, a lawyer, a forensic accountant, and I need to do it without them knowing." "Now that's more like it." I could hear the smile in her voice. "Let's burn their world down." The first thing I did was secure my finances. I met with my financial advisor, Harrison Pierce, a man my father had trusted implicitly. "Harrison, I need to make some changes to my accounts." Immediately, he looked at me over his glasses. "What kind of changes?" I need to freeze my trust fund, implement additional security measures, and I need to do it in a way that makes everything appear normal until it's too late for anyone to stop it. "This is about your husband," he stated, not as a question. Harrison had always been perceptive. "Yes, I heard he's planning to divorce you. I'm sorry, Gladys." "Don't be sorry. Help me ensure he doesn't get a penny of my inheritance." Harrison smiled. "It would be my pleasure." Over the next week, we quietly locked down every account. Harrison created new shell companies, moved assets, and established trusts within trusts. The money remained technically mine, still accessible to me, but now it would take a team of lawyers months to even figure out where it all was, let alone access it. "Your father was a smart man," Harrison remarked as we finished. "He set up your trust with provisions specifically designed to protect you from predatory marriages. All I've done is activate those safeguards. If your husband tries to claim any of this in the divorce, he's going to hit a wall he can't scale." "What about the papers he wants me to sign, the transfer documents?" "Sign them if you want. They're worthless. The accounts they reference don't exist anymore. By the time he realizes what's happened, the window to contest it will have closed." I felt my first genuine smile in weeks. Next, I hired a private investigator. His name was Roger Castillo, and he came highly recommended by Anita's lawyer cousin. "I need everything," I told him. "Photos, videos, financial records, phone records. I need to know every place they meet, every time they've been together, every lie they've told." "You want to take them down in the divorce. I want to take them down permanently." Roger was thorough, frighteningly thorough. Within 2 weeks, he had compiled a file 3 inches thick. There were photos of Declan and Victoria at restaurants, hotels, and even walking through the park hand in hand. Timestamps indicated they had been meeting for over a year, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. Credit card records revealed Declan had been paying for hotel rooms, dinners, and gifts, all with our joint credit card. My money was funding their affair. Then there were the text messages, recovered from phone backups, more explicit than what I had seen on his phone. Plans, schemes, and detailed discussions about how to manipulate me, how to gain access to my accounts, and how to stage the divorce for maximum financial advantage. And then Roger found something I hadn't expected. "Your mother has been meeting with a man named Warren Blackstone," he said, sliding a photo across the desk. "He's a financial advisor, not a reputable one, the kind who specializes in hiding money from the IRS, moving assets offshore, that sort of thing." "Why would she need that?" "Because she and your husband are planning to disappear. They've already purchased property in Spain under a shell corporation. They're setting up a new life and plan to be gone before the divorce is finalized. Can we stop them? We can do better than that. We can ensure that when they leave with nothing. And we can make sure everyone knows exactly what they did." "Tell me how." Roger smiled. "First, we're going to let them think everything is going according to plan." I signed the divorce papers, doing so without complaint, without a lawyer present, just as Declan had demanded. He looked taken aback when I handed them over. "No fight?" he asked, his brow furrowing. "What's the point?" I replied, allowing my voice to sound defeated. "You've won, you and my mother. I just want this over with. And the trust fund transfer? I'll sign those too. Just give me a few days to process everything." "Thank you, Gladys. I know this is hard, but it's for the best." He actually sounded sincere, as if he believed he was doing me a favor. I watched him leave with those signed papers, feeling nothing. No anger, no sadness, just cold calculation. I signed the trust fund transfer documents 3 days later. I went to the bank with Declan and Victoria, playing my part as the defeated ex-wife perfectly. My mother looked radiant that day, happy. She actually hugged me before we entered the bank. Thank you for being mature about this, sweetheart. I know it hurts now, but one day you'll understand. One day you'll find someone who makes you feel the way Declan makes me feel." I almost laughed. We sat in the bank manager's office. I signed the papers, watching Declan and Victoria struggle to conceal their excitement as the manager processed the transfer. "The funds will be available in your joint account within 24 hours, the manager stated. They thanked him, thanked me, and walked out of that bank as if they had just won the lottery, because in their minds, they had. That night, I met with Roger and Harrison. "It's done?" I asked. "It's done," Harrison confirmed. They signed papers transferring funds from an account that no longer exists. The moment they try to access that money, they'll find nothing. And because they signed documentation acknowledging they knew what they were taking, they've essentially confessed to attempted theft. What about their property in Spain? We've been in contact with Spanish authorities. Turns out your mother's financial advisor, Warren Blackstone, is wanted for fraud in 3 countries. The property they purchased is part of an ongoing investigation. It will be seized as soon as they attempt to claim it. So they'll have nothing, less than nothing. They'll owe money to lawyers and the Spanish government, and possibly face criminal charges. "Good," I replied, turning to Roger. "And the other thing is already handled. I've compiled all the evidence into a comprehensive file. Tomorrow morning, it will be delivered to their employers, their families, their friends. Everyone will know exactly what they did. Both of them will lose their jobs. Your husband's architecture firm has a morality clause. An affair with a client's family member, which your mother technically was when she visited his office, is grounds for immediate termination. Your mother's country club, where she volunteers and socializes, will receive a very detailed package about her activities. These places don't take kindly to scandal." I should have felt guilty, should have felt something, but I didn't. The wedding invitation still hung on my refrigerator. 3 months had become 2 months, then 1 month, and suddenly it was the week of their wedding. Declan had completely moved out, settling into an apartment he had rented with money he thought he had stolen from me. Victoria had been calling, trying to maintain some semblance of a mother-daughter relationship, but I had been dodging her calls. "Gladys, please pick up. I want you at my wedding. I want my daughter there." Her voicemails made me feel nauseous. Anita believed I should skip the wedding. "You don't need to witness that travesty," she said. "You've already won. Let them have their pathetic wedding, and then watch their world fall apart afterward." But I needed to be there. I needed to see their faces, needed them to see mine. "I'm going," I told her firmly. "I want to look them in the eyes one last time before everything comes crashing down." The wedding was scheduled for Saturday afternoon at the Rosewood Estate, an extravagant venue nestled in the countryside. 200 guests, a full ceremony, reception, the works. They had spared no expense, because why would they? They thought they had $8 million to play with. I bought a dress for the occasion, simple, elegant, black funeral attire, because I was attending a death. The death of who they used to be. Saturday morning, I woke up calm, eerily calm. I had spent the last 3 months planning, preparing, putting all the pieces in place. Today, those pieces would fall. I drove to the Rosewood Estate alone, arriving early while they were still setting up. No one questioned my presence. I was, after all, the daughter of the bride. I took a seat in the back row of the garden, where the ceremony would unfold. White chairs were arranged in perfect rows. An arch adorned with roses stood at the front, and classical music played softly through hidden speakers. It would have been beautiful if it weren't so obscene. Guests began to arrive. I recognized some of them. My mother's friends from her book club, Declan's colleagues from work, distant relatives who likely had no idea what was truly happening here. The officiant took his place. The music shifted to something more formal. And then the groom appeared. Declan walked down the aisle with his best man, looking handsome in his tuxedo, happy, excited. When he spotted me sitting in the back row, his steps faltered for just a moment, but then he flashed a smug, victorious smile. He believed I was there to show I was okay with everything, that I had accepted my fate. He had no idea. The music swelled, and everyone stood as my mother appeared at the end of the aisle. Victoria Hartley, dressed in a white wedding gown, not ivory, not cream, but pure white, strapless and form-fitting with a long train. Her hair cascaded in elegant curls, and diamond earrings, my father's last gift to her, sparkled at her ears. She looked beautiful, radiant, a full 20 years younger than her actual age, as she walked down the aisle toward my husband. I watched her make her way down that aisle, her eyes locked on Declan. When she passed my row, she glanced at me and smiled. It wasn't a warm smile, nor was it apologetic. It was triumphant. It said, "I won." I smiled back, knowing she had no idea what was coming. The ceremony began. The officiant spoke about love, about second chances, about two souls finding each other against all odds. I wanted to laugh or vomit, maybe both. If anyone has any reason why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. The traditional words hung in the air, and I felt every eye in the place turn to me for just a moment, waiting to see if I would object. I said nothing. The ceremony continued. Vows were exchanged, rings were placed on fingers. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Declan kissed my mother, long, passionate, and utterly inappropriate for the venue. Some of the older guests appeared uncomfortable, but I merely watched. They broke apart, both of them glowing with happiness. The officiant presented them to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Declan Whitmore. Applause erupted as they walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, beaming at their guests. When they passed me, my mother reached out and squeezed my hand. "Thank you for coming, sweetheart. It means everything." The reception took place in the estate's grand ballroom. Champagne flowed freely, dinner was served, and the cake was cut. The first dance commenced, followed by toasts. I sat at a table in the corner, nursing a glass of wine, observing it all unfold. Declan's best man delivered a toast about love conquering all obstacles, while one of my mother's friends praised Victoria for her bravery in following her heart. No one mentioned the elephant in the room. No one acknowledged that the groom had been married to the bride's daughter until just 3 months ago. Then my mother stood up to give a speech. "I want to thank everyone for being here today," she said. "I know this situation is unconventional, but when you find real love, true love, you can't let it go just because it's complicated." She gazed at Declan with such adoration that it made my stomach churn. Declan has shown me that it's never too late to start over, that age is just a number, and that happiness is possible even after loss, even after years of settling for less than you deserve. She raised her glass. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," a room echoed. I didn't drink. As the reception wore on, I finally stood up and walked over to where Declan and Victoria were conversing with guests. "Could I speak to you both?" I asked quietly, "Just for a moment?" They exchanged glances before nodding. We moved to a quiet corner of the ballroom, away from the bustling crowd. "I just wanted to say congratulations," I said. "You both got exactly what you wanted." "Gladys," my mother began. "No, really, you played your game perfectly. The affair, the manipulation, the theft of my inheritance. You executed it all so well." Declan's jaw tightened. "We're not doing this here?" "Oh, but we are, because I want you to know something. That money you believe you took from me, The $8 million sitting in your joint account? Both of them were staring at me now. It doesn't exist. What are you talking about? Victoria's voice was sharp. The account you transferred funds from, I closed it 2 months ago. The papers you signed, they're worthless. The money you think you have, it's gone, hidden in places you'll never find. Declan's face turned pale. You can't do that. I already did, and that's not all. The property you bought in Spain, it's being seized as we speak. Turns out your financial advisor is a criminal, and everything he helped you purchase is part of a federal investigation. My mother grabbed my arm. What have you done? What you taught me to do, Mother. I looked out for myself. I protected what was mine. I pulled my arm free. Oh, and one more thing. Tomorrow morning, everyone you know will receive a comprehensive file, photos of you together, text messages planning my destruction, financial records showing you tried to steal from me. Your employers, your friends, your family, they'll all know exactly who you are. You vindictive little... Victoria, I interrupted with a smile. I learned from the best. Congratulations on your marriage. I hope you enjoy poverty together. I turned and walked away. Gladys, Declan called after me. Gladys, wait! But I kept walking, exiting the ballroom, moving through the foyer and into the parking lot. I could hear shouting behind me, Declan and Victoria arguing, her voice rising to a shriek while his tone turned desperate and angry. Their perfect day was unraveling. I got into my car and drove away, and for the first time in months, I felt light, free. The fallout was spectacular. On Monday morning, Declan called me 17 times. I didn't answer. Finally, he left a voicemail. Gladys, please, we need to talk. There's been a mistake with the accounts. The bank says the funds aren't there. This has to be some kind of error. Call me back, please. On Tuesday, Victoria showed up at my house. I watched through the window as she pounded on the door. Gladys, open this door. We need to talk about this misunderstanding. I stayed inside. Eventually, she left. On Wednesday, I received notice that Declan's architecture firm had terminated his employment. The official reason was breach of professional ethics. The unofficial reason was the file Roger had sent them, complete with evidence that Declan had been using company time and resources to conduct his affair. On Thursday, Victoria's country club revoked her membership. Apparently, the board had held an emergency meeting after receiving certain documents. Adultery with a daughter's husband was not the kind of scandal they wanted associated with their establishment. On Friday, I received a call from Roger. Spanish authorities have seized the property. Warren Blackstone has been arrested. Your mother and Declan are listed as persons of interest in the investigation. They're not being charged with anything yet, but they're definitely going to be questioned. They put down $200,000 on that property. It's gone, seized as evidence. $200,000, my money, funneled from our joint credit card into their escape plan. Can I recover it? I'm already working on it. We're documenting everything. You'll get it back. By the second week after the wedding, the social fallout was complete. Everyone knew, and I mean everyone. My mother's friends from the book club stopped speaking to her. Declan's colleagues refused to return his calls. Distant relatives who had attended the wedding began sending messages to my mother, expressing their disgust. The narrative had shifted completely. I was no longer the pathetic abandoned wife. I had become the victim of a cruel betrayal by the two people who should have protected me. And Declan and Victoria, they were pariahs. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they were fighting constantly. The stress of losing everything, jobs, money, reputation, was destroying their relationship faster than they had built it. Turns out, love built on lies and theft doesn't survive when the consequences arrive. 3 weeks after the wedding, I came home from work to find Declan sitting on my front steps. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, clothes wrinkled. Gladys, he said, standing as I approached. Please, just 5 minutes. I should have gone inside and locked the door. I should have called the police for trespassing, but I wanted to hear this. 5 minutes, I said. We sat on the steps, not touching, a gulf between us that felt wider than the Grand Canyon. I'm sorry, he said finally. I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I'm sorry for all of it. You're sorry you got caught. No, I'm sorry I did it. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I threw away something real for something that was never going to work. It's not working out with my mother. He laughed bitterly. Your mother is furious that the money's gone. That's all she talks about, how I promised her a new life and can't deliver. She's threatening to divorce me. We haven't even been married a month. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, nothing. Why are you telling me this? I need your help. The money, Gladys. I know you moved it somewhere. We need it, not for Spain, not for running away. We need it just to survive. I can't find a job. No firm will touch me after what happened. Victoria can't work because everyone knows what she did. We're broke. We're losing the apartment. We have nothing. You have each other, I said. Isn't that what you wanted? True love? Please, I'm begging you. Not for me, for her. She's your mother. She stopped being my mother when she slept with my husband. Gladys, no. I stood up. You both made your choices. You chose to betray me, to steal from me, to destroy me, and now you're facing the consequences. That's not my problem. What do you want from us? What will it take for you to help? I don't want anything from you. I want you out of my life, both of you. So, that's it? You're just going to let us crash and burn? Yes, because that's exactly what you deserve. I walked to my front door, unlocked it, and went inside. I didn't look back. 1 month later, I heard they'd filed for divorce. Victoria was citing emotional distress and financial fraud. Declan was countersuing for defamation. They were destroying each other now, doing my work for me. 2 months later, my mother showed up at my workplace. She looked old. That was the first thing I noticed. The stress had aged her dramatically. Her hair was graying at the roots, and her face was lined with exhaustion. Gladys, please, I need to talk to you. I'm working. 5 minutes, please. I'm your mother. We went to a coffee shop down the street, sitting across from each other in a booth by the window. I've lost everything, she said without preamble. My house is in foreclosure. I have no income, no friends. I'm about to be homeless. That's unfortunate. Gladys, I'm begging you. You won. You destroyed us both. Just please give me something to live on, a small allowance, enough to get an apartment. Please. I looked at this woman who had given birth to me, who had raised me, who I'd loved unconditionally for 30 years, and I felt nothing. You once told me that Dad left you just the house and a pension when he died, that he left everything else to me. Do you remember that? Yes. Do you know why he did that? Because he always loved you more? No, because he knew exactly who you were. He knew you were selfish. He knew you'd waste money on yourself, on status, on appearances. So he protected his assets by leaving them to me, and he was right to do it. Tears were streaming down Victoria's face now. He also knew you'd turn on me eventually, I continued. He warned me once when I was in college. He said, Gladys, your mother loves you, but she loves herself more. Remember that. I didn't understand what he meant then. I do now. Please. No, You made your choices. You destroyed your own life, and I'm not going to save you from yourself. What am I supposed to do? The same thing you told me to do when you were stealing my life. Figure it out. Get a job. Build something new. You're young, right? That's what you said. Age is just a number. I stood up. Gladys, please. I'm your mother. No, I said, looking down at her. You stopped being my mother the day you betrayed me. You're just Victoria Hartley now, a stranger who made terrible decisions, and I don't owe strangers anything. I walked out of that coffee shop and never looked back. 1 year later, I'm sitting in my new office at the publishing house. They promoted me to senior editor 6 months ago. My life is full, rich, and complete. I bought a new house, smaller than the one I shared with Declan, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every painting, every cup in the kitchen, all chosen by me for me. I've been dating someone. His name is Leo. He's kind, honest, and we take things slow. He knows my story, knows what I've been through, and he's patient with the walls I've built. I'm not ready to marry again. Maybe I never will be, but I'm okay with that. I heard Declan moved back to his hometown in Ohio, working construction now, living with his brother. His dreams of being a renowned architect are dead. Victoria works part-time at a department store. She lives in a studio apartment in a bad part of town. I heard she tried to reach out to her sister, but her family wants nothing to do with her after what she did. They both lost everything, their reputations, their careers, their money, their dignity, and I didn't have to lift another finger after that wedding. They destroyed themselves. Because that's the thing about people who build their happiness on someone else's pain, it never lasts. The foundation is rotten, and eventually it all comes crashing down. Some people think I should forgive them, that holding on to anger is bad for me, that I should let it go and move on. But here's what I've learned. Forgiveness is not owed to people who haven't earned it. Moving on doesn't mean pretending something didn't happen. I moved on by building a new life, by reclaiming my power and refusing to let their betrayal define me. They wanted to break me, to take everything and leave me hollow, but I broke them, not with violence or continued revenge, but by simply protecting myself and letting them face the consequences of their actions. That's what they couldn't anticipate, that the quiet, plain, boring Gladys they thought they could steamroll had steel in her spine. I learned something profound through all of this. Pain can be transformative. Betrayal can be instructive, and sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to you becomes the catalyst for becoming the person you were always meant to be. I'm not the same woman who came home early from work to find her husband with her mother. That woman was naive, trusting, willing to doubt herself before doubting them. The woman I am now is different, harder, wiser, unbreakable, and I'm grateful for it. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that wedding, about standing in the back of that garden, watching my mother walk down the aisle toward my husband. In that moment, I could have fallen apart. I could have screamed, cried, and made a scene, but I didn't because I knew something they didn't. The moment they betrayed me, they lost. They just didn't realize it yet. Watching them come to that realization, watching their perfect plan crumble, watching their relationship implode under the weight of its own corruption, that was the sweetest revenge of all. Not because I'm cruel, but because justice sometimes wears the face of karma. And karma, she's patient, thorough, and she never forgets. My name is Gladys Whitmore. This is my story, and I'm still here, still standing, still thriving, while they burn in the ashes of the life they tried to steal from me.